So this wasn't originally on my mind to do a comparison of, nor was it a suggestion. And I am stunned at myself that I didn't think of this sooner, because it makes so much sense to do this comparison, like very, very much so. And the checkout video for this, just as of this recording, just aired last night, and got some commentary on it, on people talking about it, is like the most powerful plastic bladed box fan like out there. And I thought, wait a minute, one would argue this is. And I thought, hey, this could be fun. And then, actually, I didn't even then I didn't think of the comparison. So this morning, I was on a video call for work, and behind the monitor on the floor against the wall, this was sitting there because I wanted to do a service video on it. I tend to queue fans and other items up in my office area that I want to video, just to kind of get them together. So this was there kind of waiting to be filmed for the service video, and I thought, when I say service, it just needs really a light cleaning, probably not even an oiling. Maybe we'll do an oiling when it comes. So I thought, whoa, I was like, wait a minute, let's do a comparison video. So that kind of like came together, and it was like Captain Obvious, very obvious to do this comparison video, but I just didn't put two and two together yet. So here we are. We have the Vornado Model 80 versus the Lasko Ultra. And I really appreciated the commentary on this fan, giving me the backdrop of like where this slots in the line of Ultra or Ultra Force, yet then later Weather Shield. People commenting as far as the color of the badge and the motor, the Marco motor versus the PSC motor, looking at the differences, the recall era. So really cool, because I knew these existed in like Lasko's lineup at that time, and even now, but I really didn't know too much. I tended to in the past shy away from what I call gimmicky type fans, and with like the thermostat and all that, like I just like never really had an interest. But in more recent times I have, and for those of you who know me, know that, I mean, ultimately one of the fans missing in my collection is the McGraw-Edison Infinite Speed box fan, which is in itself a gimmick because it has essentially the thermostat, and there's variations of that. You know, there's one, I don't think it has the Infinite Speed, but it has a Venturi ring, which I really want. I believe the Jordan has one of those, and then, which is rare. It's interesting because most people don't have that fan. If they have any Edison box fans, they have, you know, the traditional comfort fan, thin lights, etc. And then, as I'm digressing, the other gimmick Edison fan is it actually has one that has the front grille that like oscillates in a way. Actually, I don't know if I really want that fan unless I kind of one falls into my lap, even though it's missing from my collection. But if one falls in my lap, then everything's functioning on it, yes, but I don't want to deal with like a non-functioning oscillating grill kind of thing, kind of a headache. But anyway, way off topic, but it's just fun to talk about these things. So let's see. I'm really going to go after it from the standpoint of, if you guys haven't followed the channel, if you're new to this, seeing this for the first time, acquired the Model 80 late spring, did a checkout video on it. So if you want to learn more about the product itself, it's a 5-speed ball bearing motored fan offered in 2 models, the Model 80. The other model, it's escaping me, is it the 810, something like that? Correct me in the comments, please. I know I will get corrected. Has essentially a kickstand in the rear that allows it to tilt up. The Venturi guard has a single ring. I'm sorry, it has a single screw that pops the guard off. I mean, I guess that's a feature because you can popping the guard off is not a feature, but one screw holding it on is a feature versus the 6 on most fans or more. It has a cord tie wrap in the back. Maybe at some point we'll flip them around so you can wrap the cord around it. You typically really only want to use this this fan on intake, whether it's in a window, because the switches are here. I believe the Model A10, correct me if I misspoke there, has a remote control as well. This does not. I don't want a remote control for my fan. In fact, I'm just starting to get comfortable with these switches. Let's see long-term durability, how they hold up compared to your typical knob. Now the Lasko, I just did a checkout video on this. If you're interested in the power consumption on either one of these in their respective checkout videos, I do go through that. I won't do that here. This is just more for fun. I guess really in the end, this is all for fun. The knock on these fans, these handles, when they break. That's a pain. I thought I heard someone say that on the Lasko parts site, you can still get these handles. You might as well buy 2 of them if you do that, because Lasko tends to, once they're gone, they're gone. Thermostat kind of setting that it, will kick on and off the fan. We won't, for the comparison, we'll mostly just do the true like high, medium, low, off, I believe, versus the 5-speed, and we'll play around there. These blade set come after the D style blades. The D blades are my personal favorite blades for the Lasko plastic bladed box fans. That dates all the way back into the 80s, just with different variations of the hub, depending on which model and what time period you're looking at. The other thing, to go back to the Vornado, this is I believe a 16.5-inch blade. In roughly an 18-inch, I think, cabinet. I might be slightly off on that part. And this is your traditional 20-inch box fan. Very obvious here. Now, this is the first time I've pitted the Vornado up against another fan that has a Venturi ring. And it would have been interesting if, when we did a comparison against, like, say, a P23, P25, or something other, like something Lakewood that had a Venturi ring. It would have been interesting to see how forceful that air would have been coming through. What we have found so far in all the testing we've done is that the Vornado is very forceful when that air comes through. However, it has a narrower band when it comes to the air, right? So it's more of a narrower band, but very forceful. Where a lot of even the vintage fans with the big oval metal blades, probably putting out just as much air, but just in a wider spot. And it seems like because of the size of those metal blades, and I'm sure pitch factors in, doesn't seem like it has to work as hard to throw the air off, right? In those videos, I tend to compare a big block V8 versus a high revving twin turbo 4-cylinder, all gimmicked out to try to make big horsepower against its V8 big block, brethren, if you will. Okay, so let's start. I feel like I could work for Vornado. That I've pitched this fan. I've talked about this fan so much, and no, I do not work for Vornado or Lasko. It would be a dream job. You're listening right now to a career business executive. If I'm making my case, if anyone's out there listening, I'm an executive on the sales and marketing operations side, and I'm very familiar with light manufacturing operations as well. Would be honored to work in one of your organizations and promote your products, of course. And hey, the channel's always open to sponsoring videos. So if you're out there, I would love to sponsor a video. And I think I love talking about your products, whether it's Lasko or Vornado. Typically, I have way more experience with Lasko, of course, being a box fan person. All right, we are 10 minutes in and we haven't turned the fan on. Oh my gosh. Probably because I'm just so excited about this. Okay, so we're gonna go with the low speed first. All right, I have to get oriented with this thing. All right, that's all right. So it definitely throws off a concentrated area because of the Venturi ring, but I feel like the band of air is wider. Much like the comparison video I did with this the other day, I did it against a metal bladed Edison fan. There's if you watch that video, there's a towel hanging almost in front of this fan over here, and the Lasko's moving it from all the way over here. All right. Okay, so we know this, as we've talked about before, has 5 speeds. We're going to start at the lowest, do the 2 bottom speeds. When you power it on, it always powers on high, which would make sense because when you turn on a traditional box fan, first speed is high in most cases. However, maybe a recommendation would be you hit power and then you select your speed, so power kind of puts it, I don't know, in neutral, if you will, like a car. Or maybe the power button like illuminates to let you know that, okay, you can change speed, and then if someone doesn't like select the speed in 30 seconds, it just shuts off. Suggestion, doesn't really matter. Just kind of a user experience thing. So here you go. I would say they throw off the same amount of air and the same amount of force on this speed, except this has a broader range. Now again, none of this is scientific, right? I don't have a CFM flow meter here. I have a moving towel. You know, the interesting thing is that towel is barely moving, and this fan's right in front of it. Or I should say, it's off to the side. It's like right here. Imagine another fan like off camera right next to this one. That towel would be about 8 inches behind the camera, but over here. All right, next speed up. Probably a little bit more forceful than this one, but close, comparable. All right, let's do medium. That's a lot of air. So the amount of air that this is thrown off, I would say, is very equivalent to a regular box fan on high. You know, what I like about this Lasko fan is, in terms of engineering, not that I'm saying it's like super high quality, like, because it doesn't use a ball bearing, use sleeve bearing and all that, but they took an existing product, which is basically a premium box fan or a 3733 at the time, I think, had this wider cabinet. They changed the handle, changed the switches. Correct me if I'm wrong, the motor is probably similar, but they added a Venturi ring, they added a thermostat, you know, and they maximized an existing footprint, which is really cool in my mind. All right, so this does a really good job on medium. I mean, this throws off a lot of air. All right, we're gonna go check the middle speed. So we're gonna go like three up from the bottom, I guess you could say, and then do 4, which 4 would be like almost high. So we'll see. So this would be, Definitely a noisier fan. I say very equivalent on air. I may say this might be a little more forceful. I think the same. Again, that towel is barely moving. Well, it's moving more than the other speeds. It's moving more over here, which is interesting. It's just, and it's got to be with the 16 and a half versus, I think these blades are actually 20 inches. Versus like the blades are slightly smaller. Because I think back in the day, they would actually call the fan a 20-inch box fan because the blades were 20 inches. And then it got cheap and started making the blades smaller, but making the cabinets 20 inches and still calling it a 20-inch box fan. That's called shrinkflation. Okay, let's speed up. Yeah, this is moving more air than the medium, so the almost high speed, so speed, if 5 is the strongest, this is 4. 4 moves more air than medium, which makes sense, right? Definitely a noisier fan. And it's those whirling fingernail blades. Spin down. Oh, this is great. This is ball bearing. All right, so let's do high. Maybe this is blowing stuff all around. This is very forceful. This is moving more air in a concentrated area for sure than a typical box fan on high. 1,000%. This is an awesome fan. Really happy to have this. Again, I wasn't looking for it. It found me. And in the video, if you haven't looked at the checkout video of this, I give you the backstory and a little bit of the frustration I had to go through to get this in the end. But it was worth it. All right, here we go. Ready? This is like splitting hairs here. This is as close to being equal as possible. I'm going to say, now again, this is like, I don't have scientific proof. If someone was actually measuring these with equipment, my gut and feel here could be wildly off, but these are so close. Like, I almost feel like it's like 1 and then 1.001, right? Like, and I feel like this is maybe 1, this is like 1, like, or it's like 1 point, well, whatever, the closest you can get. So there you have it. Like, I mean, I would almost argue the Lasko is just as strong or stronger. Like, it's really truly splitting hairs. And maybe if I should put noise canceling headphones on, because I wonder how much the sound is biasing me towards like, oh, the air feels the same, but this one's louder, therefore it's more powerful, which we know is not the case. Those little fingernail blades make it so loud. Imagine if that sucker had, if metal blades were moving that fast, I'd be frightened. But anyway, that's what we have here. You guys be the judge. What do you think? And I'm sure someone's gonna geek out and look up the CFM and all that stuff, but go ahead, check it out. What I like about this Lasko is it's heavy, it's beefy, right? This we know certainly is, which I really appreciate. This still looks like a traditional box fan when I look at it. Yeah, I know the grill's different, but it just, yeah. So in the end, with these videos, like I kind of do these videos, like which one would I take? I probably would take the Lasko. And I feel bad because just about every video of like a fan that's what I would deem as comparable and up, I've always taken over the Vornado. And maybe it's because I'm just such an old school, old head that like I very much love traditional box fans. This is really a non-traditional box fan because it's not 20 inches. It has, you know, some gimmick to it, if you will, where this has gimmick to it as well, but still sits on the traditional box fan cabinet. You can use it in the window either direction, whatnot. But this, we're gonna do some videos with it. Again, I'm just gonna do a servicing video, but I have an idea for a couple other comparison videos specific to this, which could end up being interesting to see. But as always, let me know what you guys think. Which one would you take? I'm leaning Lasko for me. That's more of a, especially with the performance being so close in my mind. I just like the traditional Lasko. This is also a rare bird. This is obviously currently in production. It'll probably have a nice run, I should imagine, especially if they want to pay off production costs, you know, before they, you know, you never just know, like something may seem awesome to us collectors and then it disappears mainstream because it didn't catch on mainstream. So you don't know how long it's gonna be around. We may come back 5, 7, 8 years from now and be like, just like we did with the P25 and the metal bladed HV Lasko box fans, like we may come back and be like, oh, these were a gem for their time, and they're worth something. So let me know what you think. Also, which one do you think is more powerful? And lastly, in the comments, what other comparisons do you want to see? Who do you want to see this go up against? And since this is the first comparison I'm doing for the Lasko, it's kind of like he went right into the title fight against the top dog and did very, very well. It's kind of like Rocky 1, right? Like it's a draw. And so who do you want Lasko to go up against next? I have a few ideas, and I'll set those videos up. And as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't, please subscribe. And there's definitely, if you're into this stuff, there's a ton of this on the channel. Comparison videos, checkout videos, fans running videos, etc. So we hope to see you soon, and thanks for watching.